Hello, 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 everybody. Hello. As they would say, come in and join me on today. I'm so glad to be here with you all. I'm so glad to be here with you all. I am Dr. Monica Lloyd. I'm your host on today. As we continue these 10 M's, I pray that you come in. I pray that you share us with your followers. If you're following me on Facebook and YouTube, you can follow me on Facebook under Dr. Monica Lloyd, and you can also follow me on my YouTube page, Dr. Monica Lloyd. But I'm so glad to have you all be with me. I want to set up some things before I get ready to get started. Just wanted to let you know I'm the executive pastor under the leadership of Apostle Sharon Peters Ruff of Unveil Ministries. I absolutely love my leadership, but I also love my church. And in the midst of my church, I'm also over the ministerial team at our church, which is why you have been seeing us on a monthly basis from May up until this present moment of July, because I have the ministerial team discussing something we have been discussing called the 10 M's. The 10 M's of ministry, of your manhood or your womanhood. And so we have been addressing these 10 M's since the month of May. What are the 10 M's? Well, let me tell you what they are. Let me tell you. The 10 M's we have been discussing are as follows: manhood, ministry, message, maturity, marriage, methods, manners, money, morality, and motive. These 10 M's were taught by Dr. Bill Hamon, and we happen to have read one of his books called Your Highest Calling, because there is a higher calling as it relates to you in kingdom beyond your title. Beyond your title. He didn't address as your higher calling as much as your title, but he addressed it as far as dealing with ministers. Hear me, dealing with ministers, the clergy, as far as their behavior in their 10 M's. So he titled it the 10 M's, maintaining them in your manhood slash womanhood and ministry. Because if you don't get a control over your 10 M's or some self discipline, should I say it like that, over your 10 M's, you will allow that certain behavior, that certain greed, that certain immaturity over into your ministry. And people are not as dumb as you think. They can see what you're not maintaining. They can see what you have not perfected in. They can see what you need help in as it relates as you go forth and do ministry. So one of the things that we are trying to deal with in Unveil Ministry with the ministerial team is to make them more aware who they are, who you are. Before God ever called you into ministry, he knew you as Monica, George, Sheila, Timothy, whatever your name is, he knew you as that personhood before he knew you as your title or the position in which God knew he was going to place you one day. And so, therefore, knowing who you are before you get into the call will help you produce, be fruitful, and effective in ministry. In ministry. So on today, if you haven't seen any of our 10 M's, go to my YouTube page, Dr. Monica Lloyd. Feel free to go to my Facebook page, Dr. Monica Lloyd, and look it up. Look up the 10 M's we have covered thus far, because we have 3 more to go. I'm dealing with one today, and I have 2 more that's going to come at the end of this month with other 2 ministerial leaders. So I ask you to follow along with us. May we be an enlightenment to you, to talk to you and share with you life applications as it relates to these 10 M's. And once again, what are the 10 M's? Manhood slash womanhood, ministry, message, maturity, marriage, methods, manners, money, morality, and motive. Well, my topic of discussion today is manners. My topic of discussion today is manners. Good afternoon, Anita. So today I'm going to talk about that. I dealt with last week as far as it related to your the message, because even in ministry you have to deal with the message that you bring, and sometimes you could bring a message with your body, with your gestures and everything like that. So you have to be real careful when you go forth to do ministry and present a message. So on today, like I said, we're going to deal with manners is my topic of discussion, and I am welcoming you to join me on today. Well, guess what, guys? You're not just going to see me. All right. I do have a guest with me on today because I wanted to dialogue with somebody. I wanted somebody to come in and talk with me instead of me being here by myself. So I'm going to introduce and present to some. How do you do it in church? I'm going to introduce to some and present to others my very own husband, who's going to be with me on today by the name of Pastor George Lloyd. Let me add him right now. Hi, sweetie.
Hello, hello, hello. Good to be on your show, Dr.
Well,
Monica.
all right then. Well, hello, everybody. Let me introduce you to my husband, Pastor George Lloyd. We have been married for how long, babe?
35 years.
35 years. He got it right, people. We've been married for 35 years, and he's going to be with me today. Matter of fact, he was one of the 10 M's with one of our other pastors, Pastor Roy Barron. And my husband, M, at that time was methods. He talked about methods. So go look that message, go look those 10 M's up with him and Pastor Roy Barron. Pastor Roy Barron did Manhood. Pastor George Lloyd did methods. So once again, I encourage you to go to my YouTube page to look for them and look and view them and see what you may learn in the aspect of these M's. So I'm glad to have him with me on today as we talk about manners. This man is very good with manners. Matter of fact, this man here has helped this sister here do very good with manners. And so on today, we want to talk about that and share that with you guys because manners are important, are they not?
Yes, they are.
They are. They are very important to have. You got to be able to present them well, and it shows forth your character.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that?
Yes, it does. Yes,
it shows forth your character. And so let me tell you what my definition as far as dictionary.com and as far as manners are concerned, they said is manners is this polite behavior in a group or within a culture. I like that. And notice I capitalized the word polite. You got to be polite. You got to learn to be polite. I like the definition so much and so that it just didn't say to a person, which you do need to be polite to a person and be polite in a group. But I also love the way they add the word culture.
Yes.
I like the way they add the word culture because you will find yourself in different cultural settings. Mm-hmm. Now, my husband, George Lloyd, Pastor George Lloyd, works in a different kind of culture. Tell him what kind of culture you work in your establishment.
In my establishment, we deal with the young folks, as we call it. We deal with picking up school. I'm a school bus driver.
There you go. That's what I was trying to get to. Go ahead.
I over the individuals that pick up kids, and as you said, the culture of it. We have Caucasian, Spanish, Arabs, Mexican, Puerto Rican. So you cannot be able to say certain things if you don't know the culture. What may be right in your culture is not right in their culture. So, but it's easy to be polite in all cultures.
I love that. Yes, it is. Uh-huh. And so in dealing with this, because you're a school bus driver, so you get to pick up these children of all different nationalities. And there is a certain way, I bet you one way you greet one child is not the same way you would greet another.
No, because I understand in some cultures, especially with the young ladies, they're not supposed to speak to men.
Okay. In a certain culture.
in a certain culture. So when I do see that, I just bow my head, give them thumbs up or something to that effect, because I don't want to cross their culture in offense. See,
Yeah.
we got some individuals to get on there, what we call a little fist bump. They do the fist bump. They give you a high five, and you just have some that just say hello. So it depends. I often find out when you're dealing with different cultures, you have to understand their body language. You got to understand what would make them uncomfortable, and what makes you comfortable may make them uncomfortable. So I've
True.
learned to read a lot of body language.
And you have to, because you don't I like the word that you use. You said you don't want to offend nobody, and
Uh-huh.
neither do I. When we dip and dab into different things, you don't want to defend. You don't want to offend anybody. So learning the culture, learning the group, because it says being polite in a group or in a culture, even in the midst of groups, you got to learn to be polite. Listen, if we're going to deal with kingdom and corporate, I like to do that. Kingdom and corporate, they are two different cultures. The kingdom or the church has a culture of its own.
Yes, it does.
I promise you it does. It has a culture of its own. And being Christians, because this is a Christian book we read, being Christians and dealing with people, we have to remember this. We have to remember this. Love needs to be the rule to your relationship with others.
Yes.
Love needs to be the rule to your relationship with others. If you allow your love to work, it will allow you to be able to be polite when you deal with individuals. Love has to be your rule. Christians have to have a different way of relating to people. And the reason why I say that, Pastor Lloyd, is because we are representation of Jesus Christ.
Yes, we are. Yes, we
The
are.
representation. Go ahead.
Because he was able to go in and out. Even though some people took it offensive because they didn't understand, he made sure that he was well. What I'm saying, not he made sure when he went in and out, he was polite.
He's polite.
He was polite.
Even when I read about him, I don't recall him being rude.
Right.
I don't recall him being rude, ill-mannered, or anything like that. He knew the customs.
Yes, he did.
He knew the customs of the people. He didn't try to go outside whatever customs they were doing. I was reading something, and I read something like this, manners, and it said this: as with a bowl of soup, you can eat soup with your spoon in one culture or one setting, and it won't be considered not being mannerable. Then you go to another culture and you get the bowl of soup, and as you drink the soup from the bowl and make this sound, you know how you drink the soup from the bowl? You can do that in another culture, and they would consider that being appropriate and also giving a compliment to the chef.
Yes.
To the chef. But if you do it in the culture I'm mostly raised in, they would say, you ain't got no manners.
That's what they would say. That's exactly what they would say.
They would say, use your spoon. You ain't got no manners. I didn't raise no dogs. Parents used to tell you that. I ain't raised no dogs. Use your silverware.
And that's funny as you say that, because my parents often told me, when you're in a place that you're not familiar with, don't say nothing. Look. The manner part is, don't say anything. Watch what they do, and emulate until you understand what's going on. And a lot of times we don't do that. We figure that we got it all together, and we know God has given us this great discernment. God has given us this great power and gifted, and we're gonna go in here and do it our way. I was heard T.D. Jakes says, and I like what he said. The individual, I believe that was Paul, that was able to speak 7 languages.
Okay.
Paul was able to speak 7 languages, so God could use him more than he could use Peter. True. Because he was able to understand the culture And he had the mannerism to say, okay, I understand it. Peter, on the other hand, he used as an example. Peter probably wanted to go in there, cut his ear off. He wanted to cut it off, like, hey, this is how we roll. But you have to be able to have manners and understanding the culture.
You have to
In
understand
whatever
the
we do,
culture.
whatever pulpit assignment you have, whatever relationship you have, it's even with my job. We have a lot of different meetings, and when we come together from different areas of our location, we still have to be able to communicate with them to get the particular assignment done.
Yes.
And each person may have to do it a different way, but as long as it get done the way they need it to be done.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's
So
true.
I say again, in order to grasp the manner of it, you can't be rude.
You cannot be rude. You know, we often, there was a season when we used to quote the scripture about enlarge my territory, talking about Jabez, and he wanted his territory to be enlarged. It's kind of hard for God to enlarge territory for people that don't have manners. Let me, because you don't know, and like you just said, Paul, even though with all his languages, he knew how to go in also and go out and speak the language. He knew how to come out and go in and do what was required of him to do. I remember this scripture here. It says, I have become all things to all people.
Yeah, come on.
That by all means I might save some. See, the reason why you need to develop your manners is that you never know who you may be around, that they are watching you in order for you to be able to witness to that soul effectively. Effectively. He said, now, if I'm in Rome, guess what? I'm going to do what the Romans do. If I'm just going to paraphrase, if I'm in Italy, I got to do what the Italians do. You know, if I'm on the west side of Chicago, where I was born and raised, I got to remember and try to come back to the language that I once knew, because if I get over there and think I'm more than what I am, or they may interpret me to be more high-minded, I can't win a soul. You know, not saying that I'm going over there cussing and fighting and all of that. I'm going to try to make my language be understandable to them, that they'll be able to relate to what I'm saying so that I could win that soul. See, manners help you win souls.
Yes.
Hear me. Manners help you win souls. I was trying to get with my son, you know, our son, and we was thinking about what our grandparents did, our parents and so forth used to say to us, you know, and we had said that, you know, my mom and dad will often say, mind your business. In other words, your manners are showing. You don't get to be around grown folks. And if you get to be around grown folks, you need to be quiet. You need to study to be quiet. Okay, First Thessalonians. Study to be quiet. And they would say, mind your business, right? Or what else they used to say? It slipped my brain.
So mind your manners.
Mind your manners.
Find
Right.
you some business.
Yeah, mind your manners, mind your business. And I said, this generation here, they either gonna cuss you out to tell you to get out their business or whatever. And so they lose the aspects of the mannerisms. You know, there are mannerisms. And so we have to be careful, especially as Christians, when we go out into the world, and knowing that we're trying to win a soul. At least I hope that's what we know, that we're trying to win a soul and bring someone to Christ, because we got our very own evangelistic team going out to pray for people. And you got to be careful how you present yourself. You can't be aggressive.
Yeah.
You can't be rude. You can't act like you know everything, because there's a certain mannerism that you have to display when you are out there, because you got to remember that you are a representation of Jesus Christ. How, like they said, how would Jesus do this?
Right.
How would Jesus do this? Anita said also, stay in a child's place. I remember they used to say that too, Anita. Stay in a child's place, because in their own words, what the parents were saying, your manners are showing. You acting like I ain't never taught you nothing. So I need you to be quiet for a minute because you are out of order.
That's good. That's good.
You're out of order. Manners, if you don't have any manners, it is telling us you are out of order and you ain't had no training.
No
Excuse my
training.
word, ain't. You have not had any training. And so manners are very important. And like you said with Paul, he was able to go to different places, get his territory enlarged because he was able to relate. You got to be
So
able to relate.
it's and that's a good part right there. Relating is is a sure foundation of what type of manners you have, because
Uh-huh.
you should be able to communicate even though you may not have the big words, as we often say. You may not have a big vocabulary, but you still, with the manners, you should be able to say yes, ma'am. Because I have a friend.
That's manners. Go ahead.
I have a friend with that. She's it's a she. She's kind of up in age, but she still says it to the kids. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Come here, little sir. Come here, little ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And it bothers some of the cultures that we are around. They say, girl, you for I hate to say it, but I'm a roll with it. With that, they say that's a slavery
I was just going to
mentality.
say.
That's a slavery mentality. But you know what? That's good manners.
That's
That's good manners, because you're showing respect to the individual, whether they're small or older, saying yes, I
I
understand.
love it.
And I tease her sometimes, but when we get to dialoguing about it, I agree with it. She said, "Well, I'm sorry. That's where I was raised, sir." So that's what we have to understand, is that don't downgrade somebody because they're showing manners.
They showing manners, Pastor Lord, and it's so rare now, especially with my younger generation or this Gen Z or whatever they may be right now. It is so rare. I recall when I used to go to Mississippi every summer with my mom. My mom would send us, my sister and I, to Mississippi. And my little arrogant tail at that time, being a Chicagoan and in the city, right? Because I'm in Chicago, right? And we kind of do what we want to do while we're in Chicago, right? So I go down to Mississippi during the summer, and I went to the store with my grandmother one day. And I went in the store, and the guy that I guess he owned the store, the Caucasian man that owned the store, I'm gonna say my grandmama's name was Nellie. He like, Nellie, who is this little youngin right here with you? Because she came in this store and didn't speak. I was like, so my grandmama looked at me and say hello to Mr. White. I said, hello. She said, what else did I tell you to say? I looked at my grandma with my stupid self. I said, hello. She said, no, say Mr. White. I said, for what? Like, George, if you could have saw my grandmama's face. She said, say Mr. White. And so I said, hello, Mr. White. He said, hello, what's your name? I said, Monica. And my grandmama said, and what else you say? Monica Robbins, she said, what do you say? I said, I don't know. You're going to have to tell me because I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. So she said, say, Monica, sir. My name is Monica, sir. I said, my name is Monica, sir. When she got me in that car, do you hear me? If she could have beat me with that switch, she would have. She said, let me tell you something. Whenever I take you anywhere, sir and ma'am. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. I went back home with my little stupid self and told my mama, I don't want to go back to Mississippi. Because, even though she taught us, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, my mom did, we didn't have, in Chicago's culture, I thought it was okay. Yes. No. Okay. Respond, but it's yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I had to learn that. And I learned mine the hard way. That to the point now, when I do see my seniors and my young adults, because I'm a nurse now. So when I see my seniors and my young adults, or whatever age my patients may be, the first thing I say, I call them by their name because I triage a lot. I call them by their name. Mr. Reynolds, come in. And I say, Mr. Reynolds, sir, I need your so and so. I need your weight. I need your height. Can you tell me why you here, sir? You know, and you have to do. I'd be like, come on, let's work this. And they'd be so pleasant, and they'd be so nice. And they'd be like, you know, I had one older gentleman tell me, he said, this sir and ma'am, the kids haven't learned it no more.
Yeah.
The kids haven't learned it. You know, because I was telling somebody, I'm sorry, George, I'm gonna let you talk. I was telling somebody as it relates to my patients, because like I said, I'm a nurse. The hardest patients it is for me to take care of are my young ones, my Gen Zs, whatever is up under the baby, my millennials, you know, because sometimes I have to try to enter their world to take care of them because sometimes they come in so angry.
Yes.
They come in so angry, and they not angry at me, but angry about life, just life itself. That I try to make my little time with them more pleasantable. And so they're way below my age. They like in their 20s or 30s, right? So what I do to them, I call them ma'am. I call them sir, Miss Reynolds, Miss White. I'm here to serve you, sweetheart. What do you need? I try to address them in a shape, form, and fashion that they may not be familiar with, but letting them know you're safe with me.
That's good. That's good.
You're safe with me. And so the little time I have with you, I pray that my mannerisms let you know that you're safe with me. And you can relate that to people through your manners if they can be safe with you. You know, in the kingdom, and as far as church is concerned, just because I'm Dr. Monica or I'm Pastor Monica, or just because you're apostle so and so, bishop so and so, evangelist so and so, whatever your title may be as it relates in the kingdom, it does not give you permission to be rude.
Yes.
You want to elaborate on that?
You did a good. You're doing a great job. And that's what we find out in our conversation, just in general, and especially in the kingdom, because of the way they address, because of where they at, they figure that you are rebuking them, or your manner is disrespect. Because I'm asking a question, because I don't know the language of church, and now you're looking down on me.
Yeah.
So because you got that title, it makes me don't even want to even show you any respect.
That's bad. Yeah.
So yes, I do agree. We have to be more conscious of that.
Yes.
That whatever title you have, if you don't have a title, it's still about the respect and having the mannerism of love. Just show some love.
Please.
When you because we don't know what the generation is going. I mean, the individual is going through. Now, you had talked about the young folks. They come in angry. I believe that because life is so fast, they want everything quick, and the older generation done already experienced some things, and they trying to slow them down, but they don't understand that. So it's in the communication. But still, even in your communication, you're supposed to say, "Now slow it down. It's gonna be all right. I've been there where you at. It's gonna be all right." And it may sound like it's not working. But a songwriter had said one time that she was in her worst stage, and all of a sudden, where she was at, she ended up against the wall, thought she was gonna die, but she heard her grandmother's voice say, "Look to Jesus," and that's where we're at today. Even now, it's the way you have to present Jesus in the right way. If you out there doing the same thing they doing, they don't know the difference.
Yeah. So
you still want to it come back to showing love and respect. It's all about manners. When you're communicating with people. When you're doing justice, everything you do, Jesus said in the word, let your light shine. You want to be able to say it in love. You want to say it in compassion. Even though what they did seemed was crazy, even though you want to like, really? You want to be able to just say, you know what? I don't understand what you're going through.
Yes.
But you know what? We can work this out. Let me help you walk this out. You don't come to them and tell them they crazy, they're a hot mess and different things like that.
You
That
gotta be
don't work.
polite.
You gotta be polite.
Gotta be polite, even to the littlest baby. You got to be polite. You got to be nice. The best rebuke is the best rebuke, chastisement, correction is done in love.
Let me tell you, Dr. Lyon, let me tell you. As you was talking, I got to thinking when my mom was good at what she was doing. We would act up, as they say. And this is the thing that used to, and it still bothers us when you talk about it. Come here. What did you do? This gonna hurt me more than it hurts you, because you're gonna have to do this right.
Yeah.
So she said, now I'm gonna have to whoop you now, because I want to make sure that you understand we don't do this.
Yeah.
And she gave me an explanation why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right. Exactly. Why I'm whooping you.
And sometimes we feel when we get to a certain position, we don't have to explain nothing.
That's not good.
But you have to understand, again, the way you were raised may not have been that way that individual was raised, and you think everybody should understand. We have to understand whatever we do it in love.
Yeah. Let me tell. Let's flip this a little bit. Let's go into the church, because we do have leaders. Okay, we have leaders in the fivefold. Okay, which they are there to build up the church, to edify, and to bring up the church, to help it grow up.
Yeah.
And in the process of that, you got to remember, as a leader, because you're a leader, I'm a leader, that you're dealing with a soul, right? And so you want to make sure that your speech matches God's word.
That's good. That's good right there. Yeah.
Yes, your speech matches God's word. Your speech and your manners matches God's love. Your speech has to match every characteristic that there is as far as Christ representative. Because then you have to remember, these sheep belong to him.
Mm-hmm.
He have established and set you to be the watchman over their souls. So you got to make sure that your speech lines up with his speech as you deal with sheep. Now, because now let me flip it. And sheep got to remember who's watching or has been placed over their soul. And they have to be attentive to the leader, because the leader sees farther than the sheep. In addition to, the sheep cannot get out of hand and become rude, ill-mannered, disrespectful, don't know how to address their leaders, and just do and say whatever they want to their leaders is totally unacceptable.
That's good.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Listen to this. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth, but only such as is good for building up, as fit the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Let's say this. You are with your leader somewhere. They've taken you with them somewhere to an occasion, let's say. And when you get to this occasion, make sure, like this scripture says, that your words are good for building up. You don't disrespect your leader out in public or private. You better watch the words that's coming out of your mouth.
Come
You
on.
got to be careful. Matter of fact, this can go beyond the church, depending on your work environment, how you talk at your work environment. Let not let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth, but only such is good for building up. So, in other words, if you talk nasty with them while they're at work and you join in the nasty conversation, you got your little nasty comments, you're not building up anything. And you got to be careful who's hearing you.
That's true. That's true.
That it gives grace to those that hear. You don't want, oh, the worst thing is when you're with some people and they say something that you know ain't right and you cringe. You be like, oh, they'd be like, oh, she shouldn't say that. She shouldn't say it like that. He shouldn't say that. He shouldn't say it. Their manners are showing.
Yeah.
They're not careful of their words. They're not careful of their language. And so, therefore, the representation that they present is not acceptable in the Lord's eyes. This scripture here, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God, because you got to remember to whom you belong to. To whom you belong to. And then do unto others as you will have them do unto you. You got to treat people with respect to get respect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You do. You have to talk to people with respect to get respect. But go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking of what you had just stated because in a lot of places that I do go, especially with the kids that I do serve, and notice what I said to the kids that I do serve, because I pick them up, I bring them to their destination, and then take them back. But when you hear something that is not appropriate, you don't respond the same way. My way of doing it, maybe it would help someone, is that have you ever looked at it this way? When they say something that makes you cringe, say, have you ever looked at it this way? Because I'm finding out, because if you give them a positive look at, because they may never saw it that way. I don't tell them you don't supposed to say that, you don't supposed to do that. But have you ever looked at it this way? Have you, what did you hear when that individual said what they said? So again, it's all about being polite. It's all about the mannerism that you have when you're trying to win a soul. When you're talking about the kingdom, well, everybody is a soul. So every situation you're in, you got to be mindful that you're talking to a soul that potentially you could help, or get, as the old folks say, get a star in your crown. So you want to be able to say, look, I want to do it the way Christ did it. I want to be just like Christ. What would Jesus do, as we said earlier?
Yeah.
So you have to have that mindset now.
Yes.
To be able to do that.
Let me tell you this. If you find it, let me talk to the audience. If you're finding it difficult that no doors are opening up for you, check your manners.
Come on.
Let me say that.
Come on, that's right. That's good.
Check your manners, because either you've been observed to have bad behavior, they've listened to your language, they watched your mannerisms, and they like, I'm not inviting this person to come nowhere near my people or near me. You got to check your manners, because good manners will cross any social barrier. Good manners will cross any social barrier and create a connection with people.
Come on.
They will. Good manners will cross any social culture and allow you to get some connections made with other people, because they like your what? Your manners. They like your mannerisms. They've been watching and observing you to the point that they feel they're safe to invite you to come into their world and be a blessing to whomever they choose for you to be a blessing to. But people that don't have good manners are not being invited to places that will probably be beneficial for them, but because your mannerisms have shown somewhere, They've heard. Check your Facebook page, audience. It shows your manners. It shows social media shows your manners because they're looking at the words that you write. They're looking at them. It shows your manners. It shows that it shows your corrupt talking. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it shows your corrupt talking, your language, the words that you choose, and so forth and so on. So don't think that you only need to be mannerable when you're in church. You got to learn to be mannerable when you're not.
That's true. That's true.
In all your environments, at the family gathering. I'm serious. George, your family have a family reunion every year. Yet still, I got to go there and have some manners.
That's true. and they expect you to, especially if you have a title.
Especially if you got a title. You're not exempt. They were looking for you to have some good manners. Kids, take your kids with you somewhere. They looking for your kids' training to show. Hopefully you've been training, and so when somebody gives them something, they don't just take it and walk away, but they learn to say thank you. They say thank you, or you give your child gives something to somebody, and the person say thank you to them too, and you got to learn how to say you're welcome when they say something, whatever. But thank you, you're welcome, hello, in a room with some good manners, and say hello to the people. Come on now.
That's true.
Go in a room and take a seat. Learn how to enter a room and say hello. My beautician, she got that bad. When she buzz you in to come into the beauty shop, she first thing she says hello, and if she don't hear you say hello back, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem because she be like, say hello. It's only good manners.
Yes, it is.
And we have to get back to good manners. We have to. In the church, out of the church, wherever we socialize, whomever we talk to, we got to learn to be courteous. We got to learn to be polite. We got to learn to be nice. I know life has taken its toll on some of our souls, but it still should not have removed good manners.
That's it.
Good manners. Because like I said before, it will cross any social barrier, Pastor Lloyd, and it will open up doors for you that you never thought you'll be able to walk through.
That is so
all
true.
Because they saw that you had some good manners.
Amen.
Okay.
So,
Pastor Lloyd, before we get out of here, I'm going to let you have some comments, and then I'm going to come behind you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're so welcome. Thank you. But as we say, I thank God for you allowing us to pick this book and to read it. As you said, give kudos for the 10 M's. And as I read the book, it's so many different parts that I've learned within myself. And as we talk about manners, it's even giving me certain things that I need to continue, that I've dropped sometimes. Like every now and then we get to walking and I open the door and walk in first. Oh, that's bad manners. That's bad manners. You know, sometimes we do that, but we have to begin to, as you say, consciously look to do good. Yes. Consciously look to do it the right way. I love it, but it's just a cliche now. What would Jesus do? If we would get that relationship with the words, you will understand what Jesus did when he said his words. It's just like rapping to, as we say, when I met my wife and I would want to, I enticed her with my words.
You did.
In doing that, I had good manners.
You did. And you still do. I'm sorry.
All right now. But we have to be able to speak Jesus' language and know how to do it. And the key word, you don't have to know the book from all the way from Genesis to Revelation, but you have to do it in love. And that's what I would have to say. Yeah. I will leave y'all with that thought. Do it in love.
Very, very good, because you have to allow love to be the rule for your relationships. Because if you allow love to be the ruler, the rule, the main thing of your relationships, you won't be so rude with
Come
other
on.
people and ill-mannered and all of that with other people. You got to be careful how you handle someone's soul. You got to be careful how you handle and represent Jesus Christ, especially if you're proclaiming to know him, to have him on the inside of you. They are looking for something different from you that they get from the world.
Come on.
They're looking for something different that from you than they get for the world. If they go out and share with the world what they share with you, and the world don't cuss them out, and then they get with you and you cuss them out, that's not good. That's rude. That's just ill. That's not good. And so therefore we have to be able to be mannerable, but also we have to learn to practice to be in good company, because good company will affect your speech. You got to learn to be in good company, because if you stay in bad company all the time, you're going to start speaking what the company has been saying.
Come on. Come on.
You're going to start speaking what the company has been saying. So therefore, you got to check your environment, check who you be around, check who you watching and observing. And therefore, if they're not presenting and representing Christ the way that it should, you might have to change your company. Y'all change companies in corporate America all the time. I quit my job. Now I work at this company. I quit this thing. Now I work at this company. You change companies all the time.
Come on.
In the world, you change it all the time. I left one company and work now at another company. So you don't tell me you can't change companies with people. Yes, you can. You can change your company and allow your good manners to show so you can represent Christ in a beautiful way. In a beautiful way. So that's all we got to say about manners. That's all we got to say. Manners. What is manners, Pastor Monica? Once again, manners is being polite behavior in a group or with a culture. United States, Illinois is a melting pot. We have so many cultures. And if you can learn to be polite in the midst of this group, in the midst of this culture, you will cross many barriers. Because let me tell you now, people are not handling unpolite people well. They correcting you. No. You call me Mr. Jones. Don't go in here calling me David. Call me Mr. Jones, Mrs. So-and-so. My apostle to me is Apostle Sharon, or she going to be Mama. One of the two. Apostle Sharon or Mama. But she's never come out of my lips when I'm in her presence, private or publicly. I will call her Sharon.
Amen.
No, she's my leader. I will never call her by her first name, public or private. Apostle Sharon or Mama. Most of the time when I'm private, she Mama.
Amen.
If I want to deal with the apostle part of her, Apostle, I need you to address or talk to me about. You got to show respect. You got to show manners. You got to show what your training should be coming forth. And I'm hopefully you getting trained well. All right.
Amen.
So that's all I have. Pastor Lloyd, I love you.
I love you.
Well, of course I do, because you're my husband. And glad that you came on with me as we talk about the 10 M's, maintaining them in your manhood, womanhood / ministry, because your manners will cross over into your ministry. If you got whatever kind of manners you got, it will cross over into your ministry. And so therefore, I pray that you have good manners as you go forth and do good ministry. I pray that you have good manners as you go forth and do good ministry, because people that invite you into their house, you need to know how to act.
Come on.
You got to know how to act and present good manners to the leaders of that house, to the sheep of that house, to everybody of that house. Now, don't go in thinking highly than you ought. Just show forth some good manners. And if you do, they'll call you back. Well, Pastor Lloyd, I love you. I'm going to let you go. All right. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
I love you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. I want to say thank you for joining me on today, the 10 M's, maintaining the 10 M's. Once again, our topic of discussion was manners. I pray that you got something out of it. But most importantly, I pray that you are displaying good manners. Because, like I said, manners can cross over any social barrier or culture, and it will allow you to make connections with people that you never thought that you could, all because you got good manners. Well, you all be blessed for the rest of your day. Thank you for your time. I love you, and all is well here, and I pray that all is well with you. Do know this: the Lord Jesus Christ loves you unconditionally, and he cares about everything that you care about. Until then, y'all be blessed and goodbye.